My name's Amiel Matthews and I'm a music producer, but in this video I'll show you how I made Johnny's sword.
I swear by the fiery pits of Hadri.
I'm not actually a prop maker, but I do like making things. But I am the composer of this short film, so I just thought I'd have a crack at it. And the music you hear is the film score to Blood and Foam, except this bit.
We will take this map and follow it to the ends of the earth to seize the crown.
Hey, Legolas, let's go.
Legolas has a bow.
Bunnings and Clark Rubber were the places that I sourced my material for the sword. The core of the sword was made out of this floor trim. If you put it back to back, you get a nice internal structure to build the sword on. Mike Gambaro, who plays Johnny, is a short fella, so I needed to make sure the sword wasn't too big for him. After measuring the floor trim to length, I needed to cut the foam that I got from Clark Rubber into a point which would fit in between the floor trim and that the rubber could stick to, which would give me the shape of the blade. The reason that I wanted to make the swords rather than buy them is due to cost and experience. To buy them from any armoury store would be a couple $100 per sword, which in the end, if the swords are going to get trashed, I didn't think that was such a good idea. And the second reason being the experience. I wanted to know if I could do it. And I think in the end, the results speak for themselves. That being, it turned out okay. In order to hold the floor trim together, I used heat shrink wrap from Bunnings, which fit perfectly over the floor trim. This saved me gluing it. It also held the foam point of the sword in place. You may be wondering why I didn't use foam for the whole sword. The reason is, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I was figuring this out as I went along. But this turned out to have a blessing in disguise in that the floor trim and the rubber gave the sword extra weight. The same is true for the sword that I made for my character, Gary. So when myself and the other boys were swinging these swords around, it actually looked a bit more realistic. I stuck the rubber to the core of the sword using a spray-on adhesive. You gotta make sure you don't clog up the nozzle of the glue. I used G-clamps, bulldog clips and pegs to clamp the rubber together on either side of the floor trim. The other good thing about doing it this way is that it gave the sword blade a natural shape, which I didn't actually have to shape if I'd used foam because, like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. So I only used the foam for the pommel and the guard of the sword, which was fairly easy to shape. Here you can see me using terrible knife technique by sometimes cutting towards my fingers, which is pretty stupid, given that I'm a musician. I was able to jam a long screw into the end of the hilt, and this gave me a sturdy means to connect the pommel, which was made out of foam. Look at that handiwork. cut grooves in either side of the pummel, which allowed it to fit snugly over the screw. I used pop sticks along with the G-clamps to allow me to get a good squeeze on the foam without actually leaving indents. Again, this is a case of do as I say, not as I do. I should have been wearing a mask while using the Dremel. Mike made a special request to have the blade purple and the garden pummel in gold. Don't know why. There's a lot of trial and error on offcuts of rubber trying to figure out how to get the paint to look right. I used long strips of leather to wrap around the handle. I think up close it looks a little dodgy, but on camera it turned out okay.
We'll take this map and follow it to the ends of the earth.